In 1989, Nintendo brought, for the most part, all the power of its current home console, the NES, to the palm of your hand in the form of the Game Boy. And it would continue to do that with its Game Boy line that lasted until 2005. So what we have here is the original US release of the Game Boy in its launch packaging. And this reminds me of the glory days of Nintendo when they gave you absolutely everything you needed. It says system includes Tetris game pack, you got a game, headphones for digital stereo sound, video link cable for simultaneous multiple player competition, and 4 AA batteries. At least, through the Game Boy Advance they kept giving you the batteries, but getting headphones, that was pretty cool. Let's take a look at the back of the box here. Details some of the accessories, gives you the pictures of them. And of course we have the happy kids playing with the Game Boy units that aren't even switched on. But Nintendo's pretty infamous for including cheesy pictures with its early Game Boy and NES products. So on the side of the box here we got some screenshots of popular games. It says new portable handheld video action. The Game Boy system features a complete library of exclusive Nintendo game packs. And on the other side here we have some accessories, compact carrying case, and the rechargeable battery pack, AC adapter. And I don't have the original packaging for the carry case, but I do actually have the carry case. I love this thing. I had it when I was a kid. You open it up here with Velcro pouch, put your Game Boy in there. It's nice and soft. These two compartments right here have a little plastic snap, and you can fit 2 Game Boy game packs each. It's for a total of 4 in their cases. And on the back, have a little loop for a belt, and I don't know what this pocket was meant for. Maybe the headphones. Let's take a look inside the box. Got a little tab here indicating where you're supposed to open it. Just like day one. Take the top off here. Have a Nintendo Power subscription form. An important notice. It's letting you know that you need to insert the game pack with the label facing out. And if there's no image when you turn it on, don't forget there's a contrast dial on the side. Give you posters. Nintendo doesn't give you posters anymore. This is the warranty card. The instruction manual for Tetris, the pack-in game. And of course, the owner's manual for the system itself. Let's see what we got here. Table of contents. Got some diagrams. All the accessories that it came with, how to insert the 4 AA batteries, the LED power indicator light, and mountains and mountains of text for a very simple machine. So here's the Tetris game pack in its case, and below that the stereo headphones. Red for right channel, blue for left channel. Original batteries that are still sealed. I recommend keeping any sort of batteries, if you're not going to use them to keep the system complete, out of the packaging, because as you'll see here, they have corroded. It hasn't eaten through the plastic bag yet, but you definitely wouldn't want it to damage the packaging or anything that was included in the package. And here's the link cable for connecting 2 Game Boys together for simultaneous play in games such as Tetris. You could play versus Tetris. And here's the Game Boy unit itself. Very large by today's standards. Typical NES style controls. Power LED light. Pea green colored screen. Speaker, which is mono if you're going to be listening to it through the external speaker, but if you hook up the headphones through the headphone jack right here, it was stereo audio. On the right side we have the volume knob, and here we've got the external connector with a little port cover. That's where you would put the video link. On the back, compartment for 4 AA batteries, cartridge slot, power switch, which this little piece of plastic comes over to lock the game in place so you couldn't take it out while the system was on. And then on the final side we have the input for the AC adapter and the contrast dial to improve the image quality depending on the light you were in. Nintendo, back when it first started out, released a lot of the accessories for its NES and Game Boy first party. They didn't license a third party to do that like they do nowadays for a lot of systems. So the AC adapter and the 4-player adapter I'm going to show you are all issued by Nintendo. Let's take a look at those. So what we have here is the rechargeable battery pack and AC adapter. And actually I have 2 of them here because they redesigned the package. This was the original one released along with the Game Boy in 1989. But if we take a look at the one beneath, it's got a little bit of a different packaging. I think it's a little bit more attractive than this one. Even have some different design on the back as well. The pictures have an orange background in the original one, and they went to a gray background in the reissued one. It's the exact same product inside, but they just redid the packaging in 1991. So let's take a look at this thing. I've always loved the look of this. As far as the 80s are concerned, this looks very futuristic. So let's open this up here. This one is the one that I use, so it's not completely packaged up. The other one I have is in its bags and everything. But here we have the, of course, instruction manual and poster and Nintendo Power subscription. Those are all very typical pack-ins with early Nintendo products. This manual is huge. A lot of text. Troubleshooting. Nothing too exciting. Let's take a look at this thing. This thing is a brick. It's not heavy in its own right, but for something that's supposed to be portable, it's very heavy. Especially something that Nintendo intended for you to clip onto your belt. So it does have a very heavy-duty belt clip. This plug right here, which is huge, plugs into the side of the Game Boy where the AC adapter port is. And then of course, in order to charge this thing, you need a power cord. A standard power cord that plugs into the charger here, and then of course you plug this end into the wall. And the idea was you leave this charging overnight, then you're able to disconnect this, and then when the batteries run out on your Game Boy, you can plug this into your Game Boy and it serves as batteries. But it lasts a lot longer than the batteries were supposed to. On its 4 AA batteries, the Game Boy got on average 6 to 8 hours of battery life. The package for this claims that you're going to get about 10 hours of battery life. And since it's old nowadays, I'm not sure if it's going to keep that charge anymore. It still does work. I've used it recently. I've charged it up and it ran for about a half an hour, which is for how long I play Tetris. But who knows how long of a charge. I doubt it's going to, keep 10 hours of charge nowadays. So that's the first of accessories that I have for the Game Boy. Let's take a look at another popular accessory, which was the 4-player adapter. So as its title may suggest, the 4-player adapter allows up to 4 players to enjoy a Game Boy game that supports that feature. It says, enjoy the thrills of multiple player action. Games such as Super RC Pro-Am supported the feature, and I believe there was a first-party Nintendo game called F1 Race that was also popular. And then on the back here, they've got a close-up picture of the unit itself and 4 Game Boys that are connected to it. And it looks like they couldn't think of anything else to put on the other side. So let's see what we have in the box. cardboard this time, no styrofoam. Here's the unit. And let's see here, I still got this taped up so I won't open it, but I can see the poster, I can see the Nintendo Power subscription, and I can see the instruction manual. Pretty typical. So here's the unit itself. I actually really enjoy the aesthetic of this. It matches the Game Boy really well with its design cues. It says Player 1. So this cord right here, this is to plug into the video link cable port on Player 1's Game Boy. And then Player 2 into this, Player 3 here, and Player 4. And you can see there's ports on all of these sides. So those are some of the main accessories that were produced during the Game Boy's lifespan, which was through 1997 when the first reiteration or redesign of the hardware was produced. And that is in the form of the Game Boy Pocket. The Game Boy was so successful largely because it was inexpensive, it got superb battery life, and it had first-party Nintendo titles on it. Those factors combined for a very successful product that was able to beat out even competitors such as the Sega Game Gear and the Atari Lynx that had beautiful color screens. But you can't beat inexpensive first-party Nintendo titles. But Nintendo did respond to a lot of the complaints in the form of the Game Boy Pocket. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so here we have the Game Boy Pocket. It says, plays all games, improved screen, and batteries included. It actually is boasting actual size because with this reissue, they were able to shrink down the form factor considerably. Hence the name, Game Boy Pocket. Allegedly, you could put it in your pocket. Logo on the side. And here, this, I guess, started the trend where Nintendo had cutouts so you could see the actual barcode of the unit that you were buying. This was to prevent scam returns. People swapping out a good product for a defective product and then returning it. Let's take a look here. Break the Nintendo seal, which has already been broken. All cardboard. Like first we have the Game Boy Pocket itself. And the manuals. No, the glory days of Nintendo are over. No poster, no Nintendo Power subscription. Just an instruction booklet and consumer precautions. Let's see here. Oh, this isn't even a booklet per se. This is more of a poster. I won't unfold it all, but Game Boy Pocket features, installing batteries. Can't use the Game Boy charger that I showed you. Sorry. Uses different power. Using the Game Boy Pocket, using the Game Boy Pocket Game Link cable adapter. So all the accessories were no longer compatible. You had to buy new ones. So here's the Game Boy Pocket itself. It is quite a bit smaller. Show you the comparison. Take a look at the original Game Boy compared to the Game Boy Pocket. It is certainly quite a bit smaller in every single dimension. And one of the best parts, no longer does it use 4 AA batteries, but only 2 AAA batteries. They were able to pare down the power consumption quite a bit. The front, however, has remained largely unchanged. You still have the D-pad, B and A buttons, select and start buttons. The screen, however, was improved considerably. No longer green, it's more of a black and silver LCD that did not blur nearly as much. Like in a Mario game, when it's scrolling, this blurred like crazy. So no blurring, sharper image, better viewing angle. Screen, however, was just about the same size. A thing of note for collectors is some of the very first of these produced did not have the power LED light. It just was gray all the way down here, but they did put the power LED light back in later on. So we'll flip it over here. We have the port for the video cable, which is not compatible with the original Game Boy, unfortunately. Volume dial on this side. Contrast in the same position. Battery compartment. Stereo headphone jack. AC adapter, which is a lot smaller, as you can see. The position has changed, so has the power input. So the AC adapter is no longer usable. Cartridge slot, which no longer has a feature that has the plastic piece slide over to keep the game inside. It seems every time Nintendo of America takes a measure to make it so that you can't take the game out while the power's on, they defeat it later on in the system's life. We saw the same thing with the Super NES. So this is the Game Boy Pocket, and this is one of the most popular iterations of the Game Boy hardware, mainly because it's so small and the picture quality is improved. Some accessories that were released for the Game Boy Pocket, or during the Game Boy Pocket's lifespan, but were also compatible with the regular Game Boy, are the Game Boy camera and the Game Boy printer. We'll take a look at some of those. So apparently the Game Boy had everything: a camera and a printer. The idea was you take digital pictures with your Game Boy, and then you were able to print them out on sticker paper. So let's take a look and see how this was supposed to work. We got on the back here some images displaying the types of pictures that you'd be able to take, and of course they were very grainy. I have no idea how many megapixels this camera was, but I can assure you it wasn't many. Something to note that, like the Game Boy Pocket, like the regular Game Boy, this was available in several colors. This one that I have happens to be green. And this is interesting in that there was not like a standard color like Game Boy Gray. Just all the primary colors, very similar to the ones like you saw with the regular N64 controllers. So, Game Boy camera. Here's the camera itself, quite small. And what else is included here? Got a nice color manual. It's one of the first times we've seen that in a while. Of course, all the screenshots are black and white because the Game Boy was monochromatic. But at least the manual is color. Free player's guide offer inside. Yes, there was a player's guide for the Game Boy camera. I think it was called Funtastic or something. Does it say? Funtography, that's right. Funtography. There it is. That's actually not the cover that they ended up with. I have some images of this in my handheld video if you want to take a look at that. But there was a player's guide teaching you some tips and techniques for how to use it. And then, of course, the obligatory consumer precautions. So let's take a look at the camera itself. Top end, of course, we have the camera that does rotate, so you could take self-pics. And then the bottom is just a standard Game Boy cartridge. So I have here the regular Game Boy. Plugs in just like any Game Boy cartridge would. And you can take self-pictures, or you can turn it around and take pictures of the things that you see. And these pictures, there's software included on this cartridge. You can manipulate the pictures, you can add graphics to them, you can do all sorts of things, and then you can print them out on the Game Boy camera. Let's take a look at that. Game Boy camera. Oh, sorry, not Game Boy camera, Game Boy printer. Game Boy printer. Print snapshots taken with your Game Boy camera. And again, we have some screenshots here of the type of pictures you can take. So you can add frames to them, you can add images, sunglasses, animal noses and ears. And here it shows you the 4 different colors that the Game Boy camera was available in. There were also some limited edition ones. I think there's a gold one that has some Legend of Zelda themed stamps that you can put on your pictures. And there's an image of what's included. Got the batteries, a roll of printer paper, the cable, and of course the Game Boy printer itself. So let's see what this is all about. There's the Game Boy printer. Not available in any colors, just standard Game Boy gray and purple. And I think way down in there, I'm not gonna get to this because quite honestly I don't think you can get to it without opening the bottom of the box here, and that's still sealed, but it's still pretty heavy. So it kind of suggests to me that the batteries and the roll of paper are in there, and I should actually open that, I guess, because I don't want the batteries corroding and ruining the packaging. So you got batteries and paper. Let's see, what did they give us? Game Boy printer, instruction manual. Black and white this time, no color. Same player's guide offer for the photography, and then the consumer precautions. This is the Game Boy printer. Reminds me of an adding machine, just because of the roll of paper, I think. So, got the power switch on and off. What feeds this thing power? AC adapter? Alas, no. Batteries. How many of them? Oh my gosh, it looks like 6. 6 AA batteries feed this thing the power that it needs. And the way that this would work, this doesn't use any ink, it uses thermal paper. So, we'll take the cover off here. We do have a roll of paper inside. This is thermal paper, just like receipts are printed on nowadays from any type of store. You hit the feed button, get a little bit of a tab of paper so you can tear it off. You hit print send from your Game Boy, and then like an adding machine, this thing would buzz and whir and print out your very grainy, monochromatic, but original photo creation. So I think this is one of the most original features of the Game Boy, or accessories for the Game Boy. Oh, and of course, this is how it interfaces with the Game Boy. This is interesting, the way that they had to do this. You got a cable here with 3 ends on it. Let's see. This one, I believe, oops, there goes the paper. Whew, disaster averted. Okay. This end, I believe, plugs into the Game Boy printer here, where it says EXT in. Am I right? Oh, it goes upside down. Okay, so that plugs into the Game Boy printer. And then this 2-headed cable. They had to include this because this is compatible with both the Game Boy and the Game Boy Pocket. So this bigger one, of course, goes into the EXT port on the standard Game Boy, and then the smaller one, as it were, would plug into the EXT port on the Game Boy Pocket. Just like that. So, depending on which Game Boy you had, Nintendo had to be prepared to serve all their customers. They gave you a cable that could do both. So, Game Boy printer and Game Boy camera. 2 very unique accessories for the Game Boy. So little by little, the Game Boy hardware was nearing perfection. From its original release in 1989 to the Game Boy Pocket redesign in 1997, we saw a smaller form factor, a decrease in battery consumption, and a much improved screen. But there was one feature that was lacking in Game Boy, and that was the ability to play in the dark. There were several peripherals that were released by third parties that clipped onto the front and provided a light, but in 1998, Nintendo decided to do that themselves, and they released the Gameboy Light. But of course, only in Japan. The reason for that is 1998 may ring a bell for some of you. That was the year in which the Game Boy Color also released, so perhaps they saw that it wasn't very profitable to release this in all regions. So the Game Boy Light is released only in Japan in 1998, and what it does, it's just like a Game Boy Pocket, a very similar form factor, but with an additional position on the switch, you can turn on an Indiglow backlight. So you enjoy the same sharp screen as the Game Boy Pocket, but now it glows at night. So since this is a Japan-only release, we're going to see hiragana and katakana and kanji all over the place on the box. Unfortunately, I can't read it, so let's get right into it. Got right on top, batteries. The unit itself. And let's see if I can get out the documentation here. There you go. Anything else? Alright. Let's see. Gameboy Light. Gameboy Light. Gameboy Light. Sorry, can't read that. Very detailed. Seems the Japanese instruction manuals are always more detailed than the US ones. This is quite a thick book. What else do we have? Oh, an ad for the Pocket printer. Not the Game Boy printer, the Pocket printer. Pocketto. Very cool. What else do we have on the back here? Pocket camera, not Game Boy camera. Ooh, they got a clear purple version. I don't think we got that one. But it looks like they didn't get the blue one that we got. Interesting. Alright, so here's the unit itself. Gameboy Light. Very similar in form to the Game Boy Pocket. A little bit bigger, which some may see as a negative, but I find that it's more comfortable. I like the bigger size to hang on to. So it's almost identical. You got the power light, typical Nintendo buttons, speaker, AC adapter, and headphone out jack, EXT port, volume dial, and contrast dial. A difference, however, though, is on the back with the batteries. Since there's a backlight now, there's a little bit of an increase in the power consumption. So we are up from 2 AAA batteries of the Game Boy Pocket to 2 AA batteries of the Game Boy Light. And like I said before, in order to turn the Game Boy Light on, here's a little bit of a difference. We've got off, on, and light. A 3-position switch here that turns the Indiglow light on so that you can play in the dark. But of course, people weren't satisfied with just a light. They wanted color, and that's why in 1998, Nintendo put out the Game Boy Color. So here's the Game Boy Color. Portable fun in color. We got some sort of foil shiny banding on the side here that screams from the retail shelf, hey, I'm new, I'm different. I'm not your standard Game Boy, I'm color. Let's see, on the side here we've got Wario and Link's Awakening DX, which was reissued from the Game Boy to the Game Boy Color. And then some more screenshots, marred a little bit by a security tag. On the back, full color display, play over 450 games, action, adventure, puzzle. That's right, every Game Boy game was backwards compatible on the Game Boy Color. Convenient compact size, built-in infrared communication port. You could still use the EXT port for corded transfers such as the Game Boy printer, but this unit featured infrared. And the batteries, as always, Nintendo style, were included. So let's see what we have in the box. Got the unit itself. I have a purple one. This was available in several colors. To start, I believe it was available in every color of the Color logo here. So I have the purple one. We have Nintendo Power subscription, instruction booklet, and consumer precautions. So less of a booklet, more of a poster. Let's see. Nope, sorry kids. Can't use your old school battery pack, AC adapter. Just standard instructions for how to insert the batteries and cartridges and how to use. This is different though. Using 2-player mode gameplay using the communication port, the infrared port. I'll show you guys that since that's one of the, aside from the color screen and graphics, here's the infrared port. It still has, of course, the EXT port, Gameboy Pocket style, for the Game Boy printer, but you can also communicate with the infrared port. So this takes on to similar size or form factor is the Gameboy Light, mainly because of the way the batteries go, except it's got much more of a contoured design. For the color screen, we're back up to 2 AA batteries, not AAA batteries. But other than that, the color screen, the form factor, the controls, everything is pretty much the same. And unfortunately, that wasn't enough for a lot of consumers. Of course, this was very popular among small children because, well, it was the latest and greatest thing. But really, the graphics weren't all that much improved from the original Game Boy, aside from being color. People wanted a more powerful system, and that's what Nintendo did to further the Game Boy line in 2001 with the Game Boy Advance.